lọ́jọ́kọ́jọ́ làbẹ̀wò ìkúkú ìdùnkún lóko podium international wọ́n ti wà tipẹ́tipẹ́ látìgbà tí wọ́n ti ń bàbọ̀ wọn ò fìgbà kan tẹ́rì o wọ́n ti wá ṣe bẹ̀bẹ̀ wọ́n ti gbé bẹ̀bẹ̀ dé podium cinema ni wọ́n tún gbé dé podium cinema lórí youtube ẹ fọ́lọ̀ wọn kẹ́ ẹ láìkì wọn kẹ́ ẹ subscribe ibẹ̀ lẹ́tì mọ̀ wọ àwọn àjá àbálẹ̀ fíìmù ẹ̀dọ̀kí fíìmù tó léfò gan tààrà podium cinema mo bẹ́rí fún yín fíìmù mẹ́sàn-án ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ni wọ́n kó jáde o àwọn gbàǹkangbè fíìmù èkíní májẹ̀mú ẹ̀gbọ́n èkejì my wet ẹ̀kẹta ọmọ ẹni ẹ̀kẹrin àlàmú èkó ẹ̀karùn-ún àìmọ̀ ṣẹ̀wárí pé nǹkan kì í ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ràgbó ó kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀ eléyìí lẹ́tìkẹjù èdè yorùbá ni wọ́n fi ṣe àwọn fíìmù yìí ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹfà sẹ́ẹ̀kẹsàn-án èdè òyìnbó ni wọ́n kọ́ ẹ̀kẹfà tẹ́mà èkeje the casting ẹ̀kẹjọ m1 the detective ẹ̀kẹsàn 100 m1 the detective at 100 orí síríìsì lẹ́fì máa wò ó ìyẹn dàgbéléwò nìyẹn podium international podium cinema ẹ fọ́lọ̀ wọn kẹ́ ẹ láìkì wọn lórí youtube wọ́n wà lórí facebook wọ́n wà lórí instagram podium cinema ó ti dọbẹ̀ ẹ subscribe.
Good day, our listeners. This is Matters Arising, and I'm your regular host, Kayode Emola. With me today, I've got two other people who will be presenting the issues that are arising in our society. I have Dr. Sheyi Adesanya in the studio. Dr. Sheyi, do you want to say hello to our viewers and guests?
Yeah, hello, our viewers. It's a pleasure being on this program today. It's my first time on the program, and I hope to have a wonderful time with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sheyi. And majority of you will be asking, yeah, he's still here. My regular co-presenter, Alex Uluwole Ajala. So, welcome, Sir Alex Ajala. Maybe you want to say to our viewers.
Thanks for having me again today, and I hope we'll be able to share information of benefit with each other and with our listeners. Thank you.
Thank you, Baba Jala. So we starting with season 2 of Matters Arising today. And that's why we've had a change of time because we had to review what we do. Usually we come up every Saturdays at 12 p.m. But due to logistics, our producer, Coach Titi Aboyade Cole, has given us a slot prime time 7 p.m. Every Sunday. Hopefully, our viewers will be able to join us at those times. So, Matters Arising, we look at events that are shaping our Yoruba society, those that we have control over and those that we don't, because we are still in a country, Nigeria, and we're looking at ways that we could make the best situation for our people. So today we'll be looking at 3 issues that are very pertinent and germane to our everyday society. So the first one is the judgment of the appeal court in Abuja on Nnamdi Kanu, who has been a rendition from Kenya to Nigeria and then being detained illegally despite international agencies like the UN, EU, AU, and other notable organizations saying he should be returned to where he was kidnapped from. And secondly, we'll be looking at the issue of Amotekun, Ondo State Governor, asking to arm the local, will I say, I don't want to call them vigilante because they are an instrument of state. A legislation was passed. So they are a law enforcement agency, and if they cannot be given the paraphernalia to carry out their duties, I don't know. And then lastly, we'll be looking at I would say vis-a-vis the statement of Ibikule Amosun, who is, I don't know whether he's the current governor of Ogun State or the former governor.
No, it was the former.
The former governor
Yeah.
to say basically we can't do what we need to do in our own home. So without wasting too much time, I think we should take the first issue, and I'll come to Dr. Sheyi. The issue of Nnamdi Kanu. On Thursday, 13th of October, we had that case where Nnamdi Kanu was vindicated, and the judge quashed all the allegations against him. So if somebody brings an allegation against me to the court, and the court say there's no case to answer, I believe by now it should have been left to walk free. But being Nigeria what it is, and the leaders and the attorney general, he is still being held in incarceration. So what do we take? What's for the IPOB family and the Yoruba Nation Oduduwa family? Is Nigeria a serious country to be reckoned with? What's your take on the Nnamdi Kanu issue?
Thank you so much, Mr. K. I think again, it brings to fore the kind of system that we run in that country. Unfortunately, people have referred to such system as the jungle. At times when we hear that, we want to get off board, but events that occur on a daily basis actually suggests that it's actually a jungle, and like when this news filtered in, when the court gave judgment, someone close to me said, oh, this is like a win-win for the agitation struggle, and then while the person was saying that, someone also came up to say, no, we have to be careful. Now up to this moment, Nnamdi Kanu is still, even though he has been acquitted, but he's still within the confines of the powers that be. So it is an unfortunate situation, and we have people who run government in that country who should not have anything to do with power in the first place, especially those who say they are in the judiciary. People who don't even seem to understand what the law is all about. And don't forget that the person who is in power now was a military dictator, and who is used to force. He has done that before, and he's doing it now, and so we are not surprised.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I will call Baba Jala to expatiate on if a country cannot obey laws, because I've seen judgment against the British government. First, you have to obey the law. And I know we'll be talking about the ASU issue. ASU was ordered to go back to the classroom. They should obey the law before they start negotiation, and they've called off the strike. Now, the same court has told has pronounced a judgment, and the government of the day is not ready to uphold that judgment. What's your take on that, Baba Jala?
Unfortunately, my take is a little bit out of tune with the fact that I don't want to claim that we have a country that has a basic rule of law. And that's the first thing. We have been running a dictatorship, pretending to have elections and democracy. We are not running a democracy. And that is why everything is just done. Even developmental decisions are done on a dictatorial format, while every aspect of development is supposed to be exclusive to government. So the law court is also exclusive to government. And so they are under the dictates of the government. The, I don't like calling it the power that be. Our people have not understood that they are the people who have the power of sovereignty. They elect the people, and the people are misbehaving without any recourse to the feelings and the pains of the people. Then it means something's also wrong with the followers, because we seem not to understand our rights. And that's why we have been promoting this spurious jamboree of election upon elections over the years. The first election that was held in 1959, the first general election for independence, no, the general election for independence, that was not the first election. Should have told all of us that we don't belong to each other. So we are going through a cycle of trying to find a meaning to what we ought to have known for a long, long time. It is rather very painful that most of us are highly educated. We don't see the danger in which we have been facing. You see,
I'll bring Dr. Sheyi on to. I saw a note by the IPOB, one of the IPOB member tonight, and he was saying that if Nnamdi Kanu is not let out before the 30th of November, that then they will take matters into their own hands. Which is not advisable anyway, but if you push, they say even if you push a goat to the wall and he has no way of escape, he would react. Would the IPOB family be justified if they come out and say, if you don't release our man, even when the court has, what options do they have with the international community, and what support would they get from the? Because I know the EU is hard on Nigeria to release Nnamdi Kanu, and if a court of law that's been set up has said he has no case to answer, what options and what support should the IPOB family be looking towards? Thank you.
Well, I think it will be a very wrong step for the IPOB to take at this point. I would rather suggest that they continue to push for this diplomatically, because I believe that to get to this point, it wasn't their, agitation, that brought about this court judgment, So going it the diplomatic way, to a logical conclusion is what I feel they should continue to, pursue. I hope they don't come to that point where they would, allow, the zoo government come heavily on them, so I think they should be, well advised. So that's my take on that.
Thank you very much. And Baba Jala, with regards I know Dr. Adesanya said the IPOB family should be calm and continue to profile restraint. If Kanu were to be released today, what would be the option? Will it be leaving him to go out on the streets of Nigeria and walking? I know the law say take him back to the country where he was renditioned from. And you have been very critical. Nigeria is not a country in the first place. So whatever is happening is shambles. If that is the case, what should happen to Nnamdi Kanu? Should they not just leave him and let him walk free, or just take him to Kenya and let him proceed to wherever he's
First
going?
of all, there's something I will want to see. If the so-called Nigerian government, the apex law maker centered on the president, I think it's the lawmaker, because we don't have lawmakers. Because there are a lot of things he has done which most of us ignore. They should pay him for compensation, return him
True.
To Kenya, and let him continue the journey he wanted to continue. After all, he got to Kenya with a British passport, but they arrested him and brought him to this country. I mean Nigeria. And then the other step the membership should take, whether it's released or not, is not violence. That's the mistake they've been making. They've not been able to systematize their approach to the quest for a new Biafran nation. And to do that, it's not about threat. It's about proving the fact that that country has no basis to exist. That's one thing that I have always been advocating. That country is just an amalgam. And most of us know the meaning of an amalgam. Are you still with me?
Yeah, we're with you.
We are.
Okay. The meaning of an amalgam is a business term. The country was created as a trading post. It was not created for nation building. It was our people, particularly the Yorubas, that forced the hands of the British to try to find a meaning to having a nation with spurious constitutions that have gone and then rejected until they agreed or compromised. I won't say agreed on the last one that was used. It didn't bring us independence. Was used to show that we are independent, because most of us know, if we don't know, that on the day of the independence, the architects of discussion, I will call it, not agitation, the process of agreeing to be together, one of them was just left in the open. Let's leave that apart. I will graciously advise the IPOB to take up a press conference to analyze the reason behind their quest for the dissolution and the emergence of their country. It's not a force. Most ethnic nations that are trapped into a bigger territories, Nigeria is not a nation, have a right
To seek
of decision.
Yeah, now I will come to this issue of sit at home, because one of the effective tools the IPOB family have implemented is sit at home in this last, will I say, 1 year that Nnamdi Kanu has been in incarceration. And that has been effective because it grounded the machinery of the East and affected the wider Nigerian state. At some point, they were doing it or leaving it to, some people say autopilot, some people said there's a machine in place. Will that tool be in their, will that tool, because it's been effective, could they channel that rather than going into violence? Because I've always said, like Baba Jala rightly said, that they should have press conference, let the world know what is happening, call out the Nigerian government, read out the judgment, and why the government is not upholding the judgment of its own land and of its own laws, how would you want the IPOB to react vis-a-vis the sit at home they've embarked on? I'll give each of you 1 minute to discuss that, and then we can move on to our next topic. Dr. Adesoya, over to you, sir.
Yes, if we look at what the sit at home process has been able to achieve so far, I think it's a process that I feel that they can still continue to utilize, because I mean, you and I know that each time they came out with that instructions, the government is like they try to put the government on its toes, and I believe strongly that it's a process that has been effective, rather than go headlong against this government that does not respect, have any iota of respect for lives, of its people. I think it's an option they should, or they could, still go on to explore.
Okay. Baba Jala, what's your take on
Apart
the
from the sit at home, I have earlier said that they should have a collation of a reason why. Because if they are saying they want Biafran nation, what comes up again is the fact that they have to make a definitive statement, because when that happens, the rest of the country is dissolved. It's just an amalgam. Who are formed out of an amalgam. But unfortunately, most of the people who were the discussants, I don't call them those who fought for our independence. They did not fight for this independence. They were discussing, and they were making spurious position statements. I will tell you frankly, Balewa made the most powerful statement. If only our people believed in him. He said everybody should go its own separate ways in 1953. But our people were talking of a powerful
federalism,
nation. They did not
confederation?
create the place.
They didn't even know what to practice. Some were saying federation, some were saying
They
confederation, some were
did
saying
not create the
federalism.
place. We have different mindsets. The Yoruba people are a group of what I would call it, group of kingdoms. The Igbos were a republican state set, and the house had their emirates and then the caliphate. How do you mix this? It's just impossible. Even recently,
It's so,
journalist in Abuja, a white man, described us as what I just said, but we ignore these facts. The truism
it's so
of the
unfortunate
fact that
that
we
we
have nothing common. So you don't have a place that we don't. The laws of this country
do not apply. It
do
applies to some
not
people
apply.
and not the
There are
rest.
two laws. For example, I will want to please give me just 1 minute. You know what? The other time, I think 2020, when El-Rufai was supposed to make a speech in the Nigerian Bar Association, and when the northern branch broke off, that was the end of the country. But most of us did not see the imagery. So if there's a Nigerian Bar Association that's broken up, the rest of them from the south should not. They are bearing an illegal name. As now, when they still say they are members of Nigerian Bar Association, they are members of certain Nigerian Bar Association. That's the fact. But they refuse to see it.
Thank you very much for that. We will come to that. I promise you. We'll have
a rule of law.
We'll have opportunity to come to that. But there's an important issue we need to discuss, which is security. Security of lives and property. Now, recently, the Kaduna State governor, Matawale or whatever, started training paramilitary men, vigilantes on how to handle AK-47, how to use AK-47, and how to man or machine the state security. Now, the Ondo State governor came out and said, if Katsina State is able to arm its vigilante, its paramilitary, then we will arm Amotekun to protect the lives and properties of our people. And the Kaduna State governor said, no, you can't do that. And some northern elements are saying, no, you can't do that. Baba Jala, will come to you on this. Why are our governors not arming or forming a security outfit that is able to protect their people?
Well, the problem with Southern, particularly in the Southwest, is that they are in a box of as a vassal state of Nigeria from 1962. So they are unable to make definitive position clear. An example is the fact that there is a dam that could produce water for Lagos and electricity in Oyo. The governor cannot definitely tell the federal government that they should reopen the activities of launching that place. And that's what is flooding Lagos. So there's two laws in the country, one for the north, one for the south. It already shows that we don't belong. We cannot be holding the bell of election as the unifying fact.
Yeah,
and which is the most dangerous thing we've got to the precipice now in that country. People are running around. I was just looking at Arewa consultative meeting with Atiku. He's telling them that Tinubu and Obi are not relevant.
I will come to Dr. Sheyi on this. One of the reasons why Amotekun stood the test of time was because we had Hezbollah. Sorry, not Hezbollah. Hizbah police in Kanu, Kaduna, and some
in all the Sharia states.
Yeah, in all the Sharia states we have Hizbah.
12 of them.
And those Hizbah police can arrest Nigerian police. Look at the irony. The Hizbah police can arrest a Nigerian police that is carrying AK-47. But the Southerners, the Southern governors are still timid, to properly arm. I don't think Governor Akeredolu needs permission to arm his security forces. They call the state governor the chief. They call the state governor the chief security officer of a state. And if he cannot secure the lives and property of his people in his state, then I don't think he has any other role. Just quickly, what's your take on that before we go for a short break?
I think it is the most unfortunate thing that has ever happened to the Yorubas, in the whole of their history, that we have those. I really don't want to call them leaders. I don't know if there's any other word I can use for them. We have a crop of people who would, and I know I want to ask the question: how did we get here? We have a crop of people who should not, be seen even in the corridors of power, let alone being in power, who are parading themselves as leaders of a race that I consider the most unique in the world. If you are considered the chief security officer of your state, and yet you cannot decide on, security matters that affects your state directly. So, what essence, what are you there for in the first place? So it only points to one fact, and like Baba Jala said, he has chronicled, from, the so-called amalgamation, the conquest agenda, and the long and short of it is that we have been conquered. the whole Nigerian, state has been conquered. So, what, joy do you derive in calling yourself a leader or a governor of a state when you cannot even,
protect the lives and property of
protect
people of
or
your
give orders to those who are supposed to, go out there and protect your people?
It's a service situation. We'll come back to it. We'll just take a short break now. My producer is beckoning on us. So, and then we'll come back. Baba Jala would help us throw more light on the security issue vis-a-vis what happened in Owo and why the governors are still very timid.
kéré o kéré o kéré o gbogbo ọmọ káàárọ̀ òjìrì ọmọ yorùbá káàkiri àgbáyé ẹ máa gbọ́ ètò yìí yorùbá self determination movement dialogue ètò ìfọ̀rọ̀jomitoro ọ̀rọ̀ nípa ilẹ̀ yorùbá ni níbo ni ilẹ̀ yorùbá ti ń bọ̀ níbo la dé dúró níbo là ń lọ báwo la ṣe fẹ́ ṣe é tí kò fi mọ̀ ké bí eku nílẹ̀ yorùbá tí yóò fi mọ̀ ké bí ẹyẹ nílẹ̀ yorùbá tọ́mọ èèyàn fi mọ̀ fọhùn bí ọmọ èèyàn nílẹ̀ yorùbá ó dọwọ́ èmi àti ẹ jẹ́ ká parapọ̀ kájọ gbélẹ̀ yorùbá lárugẹ sẹ́ni tó sọ lẹ́nu onítọ̀hún sàkóyà kọ́ni yorùbá self determination movement dialogue a ó máa rí ètò yìí wò lórí YSDM Global TV YSDM YouTube channel YSDM Facebook page fẹ́kùrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé ẹ pè nọ́mbà yìí +44 744 21 77 677 tàbí +121 5206 766 5 a gbé ètò yìí kalẹ̀ fún ìtẹ̀síwájú àgbéga ilẹ̀ yorùbá ni ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ ṣe é.
Thank you very much. So that's a program that is coming up from tomorrow, YSDM Dialogue. A lot of people have asked, they've got questions about where are we going? Where are we? How are we here? If you join us on that program, we'll be able to tell you more about where we've come from, where we are, and where we need to be. Now, back to the security issue, Baba Jala. We saw in June when I don't want to name names because no credible source have come to say these are the people. Because the governor of the state has come to say they are members of ISWAP. The presidency say they are Boko Haram. The chief of staff to the president or the whatever, they say they are Fulani. And everybody is just pinpointing one faction or the other. No group has come out to say they carried it. We've had series of news that the people who committed that crime has been arrested. There is no mention of court proceedings. There's no mention of wherever they are. And people have all of a sudden forgotten that incident. And the governor is now saying, oh, by the way, I want to arm my security operatives with AK-47. Why are the southern governors too slow to act? Why do they need consent from the north who do not belong to them to properly arm their own security outfit to carry out the duty that the governors were elected for in the first place, which is securing the lives and property of the people they serve? Over to you.
Large amount of money is voted as security vote to every governor. But unfortunately, what is it used for? The certain governors seems to be timid. They don't, like I said, they don't know that they carry the right of sovereignty of their people in their hands, and it should not be played with. Their security is important, and therefore a security vote that is very large should, Governor Akeredolu has tried when he promoted Amotekun in all but Lagos State. Lagos State is playing a game of fire on its own people. They are surrounded by various Serikis who will eventually become emirs. But how do you defend it? Do you think that Oluomo's transport association will be able to confront them? The answer is no. You see, there's much complexity in the situation happening in that country, because those of us in the South are holding on to the apron string of a belt that makes us Nigeria, while the others have,
moved on.
particularly not, they have taken
Even the
it off.
East have moved on.
And they have also included Niger into Nigeria. This is a very critical thing that most of us don't see or
So,
ignore.
let me come. Not only is the Niger Delta oil money.
No, I mean,
No, I'm
Niger-
coming. I'm coming. Not only is it not used to build schools, roads, hospitals in Niger Delta, that money is now being used to develop Republic of Niger.
Yeah, that's the point. And decisions, budgetary decisions for Niger is decided by our own Federal House of Rep. So it means we have incorporated Niger into Nigeria. That was done since 2018 when Buhari was coming back from Egypt. Most people ignore that news. Nigeria is an open border. Everybody should come in. You see, it is a continuation of a vision. I don't blame them. It is us who are blind to that gradual encroachment into our people's land. I understand some people will say, one near by Meji, Sokoto. They're just figureheads, representatives, and they have no power. Tomo Yobaba Sheni, Sokoto is offended. The police will take him. He's not going to go to the Oba, but Fulani Basheni Eko, they will go to the Seriki. By inference, these Serikis are the ambassadors of their people in the South. The ambassador. This is the point that most even legal persons could not read. It's not just reading Western legal material and a few of collated legal cases in the South over how many years that makes you a lawyer. You have to create a new platform to see events that are happening around you. Just like I mentioned earlier, the Nigerian Bar Association is dead because the North had separated itself. So the Nigerian Bar Association should now be Southern Nigerian Bar Association. I've said it in one of my posting, but they ignore it. These are the facts. Have you now got back? Let's ask the question from the leadership. Let's Falano, the legal luminary. Have they brought back the northern branch of the Nigerian Bar Association? If they have brought them back, then I would say Nigerian Bar Association is still alive today. It is not. So we don't have the legality. You see, and that's why our governors in the South, I don't see why they cannot stand up and say to the federal government, if even the federal government has approved Katsina State having their local security agents to carry guns. It was done some weeks ago.
Yeah. And even Governor Otom in Benue State as the House of the House of House of Assembly or State Assembly in Benue. Yeah. They've passed the law that their security can the state security can bear arms, and over 500 of them have been armed to protect the lives and property. And since that has been done, the killing in Benue has reduced. Now, for the South, is it because it is only Akeredolu that is speaking, or is Akeredolu speaking on behalf of his other governors who are also timid? Because we have governors who are in Delta, who are in Edo, who are in Calabar, why are they not rising to say, see, because I don't think we need the federal legislature to tell the state that they can protect themselves. I don't need anybody to tell me to protect myself. If somebody is bringing gun to kill me, I should be protecting myself. So, Dr. Adesoya, is it only...
If I may come in on this first.
Yeah, okay, go
There's
on.
something I observed over the years, mixing with some of my elders and those in government, they believe in obeying the Nigerian Constitution.
Which is a false document.
Constitution, wow. But at the same time, I've met with many of them.
Because our Fulani won't load the Constitution. They set up Sharia state, which is against the Constitution. And heaven did not fall.
To arm ourselves, but why do you want to supply Constitution Baki state Kiniko carry gun? Which Constitution allowed the constitutional decision? In fact, it was passed by the Federal House recently that the president has allowed Katsina State people to carry guns, and all other states in the north are gradually going into that, and nobody is stopping them. And we are here timidly using the word timidly following the law. Representing our people's sovereignty? No.
Let me bring Dr. Sheyi on this before we go. Autumn has armed his own security outfit. Akeredolu is arming his security outfit. What about the other state governors in the south and even in the middle belt? Niger State, which is already overrun by ISWAP, Boko Haram, and Fulani terrorists. 3 terrorist outfits now at the border of Yoruba land. What should our governors be doing? Let's have your take before we move on.
Well, I will reiterate what I've said before. How did we get here? How did we get to the point where
Baba Jala said that our elected officials are timid?
How did we get to a point where those that we elect, or those who throw them, because many of them just throw themselves up. You see some of them, like the Oyo State governor has been, in the contest for like how many, times, until he finally, got in there. So if you want to have a desire to get into a public post, then you must, have something that is propelling you. Now, we have come to a point where, like I said, those that we either, elect, or those who force themselves into, these positions are people who are, like we have said, are timid. And you see, I will repeat what I've said again, the fact that we are operating like a people that has been conquered.
Yeah. I will tell you how we got here, and which is going to take us into our final topic for the day, which is a lot of our people running away. I'm going to play a short clip of Ibikule Amosun, former governor of Ogun State, who is telling us that let's accept Kagbabe. And that spirit of let's accept whatever happens to us is now forced millions of our people out of their homeland in Yoruba land, not even in Nigeria. Let's play that Ibikule Amosun's video and hear what a governor who was sent to go and represent his people on a constitutional amendment or constitutional review is telling his people.
Àwọn akọ́sọ̀rọ̀ tí wọ́n ní òun dáṣe democracy tá ń pariwo ẹ ti mọ̀ mi kò ẹ̀ ń ṣe ẹni tí mo tún máa sọ tún mọ̀ ẹ̀ fún nínú politics àbí nínú democracy àwọn èrò tó pọ̀ jù nínú ibì kan wọ́n máa níwèé wọn àwọn náà máa mú nǹkan yẹn wọlé àwọn tó sọ pé àwọn ò fẹ́ àwọn akọ́sọ̀rọ̀ tí wọ́n ní nínú ìta ṣe lọ ìtorí mo wà nínú committee tó ń ṣe constitution review tá tún ètò bá ṣe ń ṣe èmi ni mo represent Ogun State lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí ṣe mo pàwà mẹ́ta la wá láti Ogun State èmi ni mo ṣaṣojú ti gbogbo Ogun State nínú constitutional review gbogbo nǹkan tó Ogun State fọwọ́ sí tí wọ́n rán mi lọ tá a sọ ní wípé a fẹ́ ètò ààbò tìpínlẹ̀ nígbà tó dibi tá a dé tá a fẹ́ dìbò tí gbogbo Nàìjíríà tá a jọ wà ń bẹ̀ tá a náwó sókè gbẹ̀yìn tẹ́ fẹ́ náwó o ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ náwó ìdá mẹ́ta tá a ní ṣé mọ̀ kí inú gbẹ́ ṣe pọ̀ tó ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ ní ìdá mẹ́ta nù mẹ́rin a ní nígbà tá a dìbò bàbá dìlẹ̀ mẹ́wàá bó ṣe ń rí nìyẹn wàá lulẹ̀ so kò sí nǹkan tá a fẹ́ ṣe sí torí pé àwa nìkan kọ́ la wà ń bẹ̀ báwa ṣe ń nawọ́ wípé àwọn èèyàn wá sọ pé kó wá o láti ibi tèmi ti wá o àwọn púpọ̀ sọ pé wọ́n ní kò gbọ́dọ̀ wá o tàbádẹ̀ sọ pé àjọ ń ṣe kò sí nǹkan tá a lè ṣe irú nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ ló máa ń fa ìrẹ̀wẹ̀sì ìkọ̀sínú táwọn èèyàn máa fi sọ pé ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣe báyìí ẹ jẹ́ kó ní kálukú gbà tiẹ̀ lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn kọ́ tó bá pẹ́ tá a ti dàbí àwọn bàbá wa wọ́n náà yàn wọ́n máa ó bí wá máa.
Now, look at what he's saying. Look at his last statement.
I'm sorry for him.
Because to me, I know I mentioned this when the Biafran people were saying they want to go to war. When you see elected officials who cannot stand and make a resolute statement that, I mean, it's just saying somebody has the authority to kill me and I don't have the power to protect myself.
That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah, like I need to vote to know whether I need to protect myself. So if Ebikule Amosun is now telling the Yoruba people that we cannot protect you because one man in Borno state says we should not protect you, so we should allow non-state actors to have guns and heavy weapon to be able to kill you at will without our intervention. And we are bearing the so-called chief security officer of the state. Now, you asked, where did we go wrong, Dr. Desanya? Is this not a problem that, if not tackled quite quickly, could result in what we have all been avoiding, which is conflict? What do you think? How long do you think a people can endure oppression?
Quickly on Amosu's, what do I call it? Let me just, let me just bring in this little, story. Although it is fictitious, like when God created, was creating man, the last thing he created, this is just my own, making, the last things he created were one, good conscience, that he incorporated into, his creature, that's man, good conscience and, wisdom, and so after he had created some, perfected everything, giving them good conscience, giving them, wisdom, you see them going out, through a door, and then they are released into the world, and then we have other beings who are yet to receive that, gene for good conscience and wisdom. See other, completed beings going out through the door and say, oh, those other, look at some beings going out. I think I mean I can also go out because I have a head, I have eyes, I have nose, I think I'm complete, and so they also ran through the door. Meanwhile, we are not yet completed. No conscience, no wisdom, and so I just want to summarize, the way some of these so-called leaders of the Southwest have operated as a people who do not have conscience and probably who do not have wisdom. Like you said, somebody is coming to your house to say he's coming to take over your house. He has gotten into the street. He has gotten into your compound. He has come right into your sitting room. And then you are still telling your people that no, there's nothing you can do. I'll just leave it at that.
Baba Jala, what they've done our elected officials, what they've done in effect has sent millions away from their homeland. They've sent millions away from their homeland. There's a video, but I don't know if we've got time to play it, of Niger Farage.
Okay.
Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about legal immigration, because it turns out that through the student visa program, the number of Nigerian students who've then been able to bring a dependent relative in this country runs at about 1 for 1. 34,000 Nigerians given student visas and 32,000 dependents coming in their wake. Now, I'm not suggesting for a moment there's anything illegal about this, but when you think that a total of 1.1 million visas of various kinds were given out last year, you begin to understand why the British population has risen by 10 million since the year 2000 and 85.
I will stop this video here. The video is 4 minutes, but I will stop it here because of our time. So you can. It's this same issue that happened to our people in 1981, 1983, and 1986. When faced with the military junta of Buhari, when it came, Nigerians started running away in droves. It forced the UK government to impose visa-free restriction on Nigeria. So Nigerians were coming in droves. First, in 83, once you're born in the UK, you could attain British citizenship upon birth. But because of the influx of Nigerians to the UK, they stopped that in 1983, 1st January. Once you're giving birth, you have to wait 7 years to actually see whether you want to stay in the UK before you become citizenship. In 86, in October 1986, shortly after Buhari took over in 85, the same thing was happening, and Nigerians were trooping into the UK, and the UK said, you know what, let's stop it. Anybody who would come to Nigeria, to the UK from Nigeria and from other Western Commonwealth countries like Ghana, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, you need visa to be able to come to the UK. Now, a lot of Nigeria, I would say hope and future, like myself, young people like myself, cannot find succor in home because we have been chased away by, I will not say the bandits who are chasing us away, people like Ibikule Amosu, who are governors, who are supposed to stand for the ordinary people. We have been chased away by those same people. And very soon, Nigerians may not even have opportunity to be able to come study in the UK. What do you think would be, because I know we would say if we don't fight, there's nothing we can do. What hope is there for a average young person in Nigeria who has no future, who has no hope other than to leave the country?
I am a typical example of a person who saw what was coming on way back when I was in Ibadan in late 70s. I told my friends that the Ghanaians had Nigeria to come to, and then I qualified it. The Ghanaians had Western region to come to, and Western region happened to be a highly developed area with all facilities, industries, and so on, not the other regions. And now that the Ghanaians are driven back, and it's going to come to our turn, that we will have no country to run to except England, the country that colonized, that created us, not colonized. They created the place and then turned it to a colony for trade, but we turned it into a nation when it is not. It doesn't qualify as a nation, and that is why you have people like Abatma College, the so-called father of Nigerian nationalism. It did not happen in the north, nor did it happen in Calabar. You see, Amotekun also said that he blames England and America for giving room for our children to escape the malaise that they have created. Does he expect those children with over 4, 5, 6, 10 years of graduation with no jobs, some of them going into prostitution, armed robbery, and some committing suicide, to stay behind when you, as an elected official, on the basis of the sovereignty of those who elected you, you have nothing to offer them. Rather, you insult them, you put them into a place of servitude. You put them into a position of servitude. It is not right. He himself, bí mo bóyá omi mi ò rò bó omi Ògùn tàbí omi ilẹ̀ wa, omi ìlú mi ló mu nígbà tó ń bí. I'm sorry to say this, because and he is the same person who is in denial of the fact that he's a Yoruba person. Because he's saying that I don't believe in Yoruba nation. Then it means you don't believe in yourself. You don't exist. And even if you are existing, I will personally be one of those to take you and put you in Sokoto and be living there because you don't believe in it. I want him to be told this, because I sent an letter to him about the Oyo Dam. There are many things to talk about, man, because I don't know why are people who are supposed to be intelligent, wise, and have understanding to say things that will enslave our people. Now Wani Baba Musunu Soro, every other person will fall in line. Why is that? Our forefathers stood up against these Fulanis. Forget about the different names that we give them. They have a common vision to take over Yoruba land. They even said it to one of our leaders many years ago, that the Yorubas have stayed enough time on their bunches land that we should quit the land for them to come and take over. Now they started coming in little bits and pieces, and they will be saying, Baba, this and that, and all that, and we are giving them because we have a magnanimous mind. It comes to a point where a magnanimous person will stop and look back and say, no, go back.
Enough is enough. Thank you very much, Baba Ajala. Unfortunately, that is what our time could take for today. I'm going to leave our viewers with the remaining part of that video, and hopefully we would come back next week, Sunday, to continue on other exciting topics for us. Thank you for listening, and hope to see you again next week.
Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about legal immigration, because it turns out that through the student visa program, the number of Nigerian students who've then been able to bring a dependent relative in this country runs at about 1 for 1. 34,000 Nigerians given student visas and 32,000 dependents coming in their wake. Now, I'm not suggesting for a moment there's anything illegal about this, but when you think that a total of 1.1 million visas of various kinds were given out last year, you begin to understand why the British population has risen by 10 million since the year 2000, and 85% of that is due to immigration. Now, no one's suggesting that there aren't some great people coming into this country, because there are some great people coming into this country, but a rise of 10 million, it's completely out of control. Well, joining me is somebody of Nigerian descent. He's a regular on GB News.
Hi.
And Dr. Emeka, you appear on all of our programs. You are absolutely proud of your Nigerian heritage and your British present, and you're there in the health service, and you're doing great stuff, and that's great, and we love that. But when you look at these numbers, frankly, if every single person that comes from Nigeria as a student is then allowed to bring a dependent relative, it's a bit of a joke, isn't it?
I wouldn't say that. I think you have to understand where these people are coming from. Imagine leaving your country, your home country, your whole family. You're coming to a new country in, a search of better education, better jobs, a better lifestyle. You can't just leave everyone there. You also want to bring people in there so they can also develop in that country as well. And being somebody who was a product of that, because when I came many, many years ago, my dad came as a doctor, as a surgeon, to come work here in the NHS. At that point, myself and my siblings, we were dependents. We were young. We couldn't work. We were just living at the time. We didn't have citizenship. We had to wait and get our British passports. And then we were able to go through the system. And I was able to school here, go to medical school here. My sister was able to school here.
No, you've done very well. You've done incredibly well. And that's terrific. And that's an example
we've been exactly in that
how
position.
this can work. What I'm saying
when
to
it
you,
works.
What I'm saying to you is, one of the, there you are working for the NHS. One of the reasons we've got a 6.7 million waiting list is that our population has exploded totally out of control. We don't actually have the health service, the schools, the roads to cope with the population rising like this.
It's true, but then when you think of what these students are studying and what they're contributing to in society, then it makes it seem a little bit more logical. Because if you think about the NHS, around 15% of the NHS are people who don't identify as British. And that's not to count people like myself who have British citizenship, a British passport, but I'm also dual nationality because I'm Nigerian. So then you think about this, in London, 27% of people working in the NHS aren't British, and Nigerians are the third most populated country from outside the EU that come and actually drive the NHS workforce.
So we're saying the poor countries will strip out your talent, will take away your nurses and doctors. They're probably more needed there, aren't they?
Well, I wouldn't call them poor countries. I call them developing economies. And secondly, these people who come here and study here also have their opportunities to go home and give their talents back. So my plan, obviously, is to do a lot back in my country. I was trained here in the UK. I was fortunate enough to be given the resources to study here and work in the NHS, which is great. And then I've seen how healthcare systems can work, and then I'm trying my best to go back and implement it there too.
You see absolutely no problem with this. Nigerian citizens accounted for 40% overall of all dependents who accompanied foreign students in the 12 months this year. Does it strike you as a bit odd that one country should be 40% of all dependents that come accompanying students?
No, I think it's because of our culture and how we see it. I think we really value it when it's very difficult for a Nigerian who's studying in Nigeria to be able to get a student visa or get a working visa here. And when we do, we want to obviously make the best of it. And that's providing a better life for yourself and your family, and thinking that your family can go through a system with the kids who have grown up here and develop and possibly give back to our country if we can.
Well, never let it be said. We don't allow both sides of the argument on this programme.
Correct.
And you've done a great job, and we love people like you coming here, but I'm just suggesting
I understand.
there has to be an upper limit somewhere. Listen, thank you.
Thank you very much, our viewers, and we will see you next week.
lọ́jọ́kọ́jọ́ làbẹ̀wò ìkúkú ìdùnkù lóko Podium International wọ́n ti wà tipẹ́tipẹ́ látìgbà tí wọ́n ti ń babọ̀ wọn ò fìgbà kan tẹ́rì o wọ́n ti wá ṣe bẹ̀bẹ̀ wọ́n ti gbé bẹ̀bẹ̀ dé Podium Cinema ni wọ́n tún gbé dé Podium Cinema lórí YouTube ẹ fọ́lọ̀ wọn kẹ́ ẹ láìkì wọn kẹ́ ẹ subscribe ibẹ̀ lẹ́tì mọ̀ wọ àwọn àjá àbálẹ̀ fíìmù ẹ̀dọ̀kí fíìmù tó léfo gan tààrà Podium Cinema mo bẹ́rí fún yín fíìmù mẹ́sàn-án ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ni wọ́n kó jáde o àwọn gbàǹkangbè fíìmù èkíní májẹ̀mú ẹ̀gbọ́n èkejì my wet ẹ̀kẹta ọmọ ẹni ẹ̀kẹrin àlàmú èkó ẹ̀karùn-ún àìmọ̀ ṣẹ̀wárí pé nǹkan kì í ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ràgbó ó kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀ eléyìí lẹ́ti kẹjù èdè Yorùbá ni wọ́n fi ṣe àwọn fíìmù yìí ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹfà sẹ́ẹ̀kẹsàn-án èdè òyìnbó ni wọ́n kọ ẹ̀kẹfà tẹ́mà èkeje the casting ẹ̀kẹjọ M1 the detective ẹ̀kẹsàn 100 M1 the detective at 100 orí síríìsì lẹ́fì máa wò ó ìyẹn dàgbéléwò nìyẹn Podium International Podium Cinema ẹ fọ́lọ̀ wọn.